In this programme, we saw how computers can be very useful for learning, whether it's typing exercises, practicing grammar on CD-ROMs, or browsing the internet for information. This Get It is about e-learning. So what is e-learning? Well, there are many definitions, but put simply, e-learning means learning by using computers. By the way, the E stands for electronic. If you can get on the internet, then you have access to the largest library in the world. There are lots of great websites out there to help you improve your reading and writing. www.literacytools.ie has plenty of information and exercises for you to practice on. www.readwritenow.ie features information on all the programmes you've seen, and there are games and exercises on everything from spelling to grammar to reading. One of the great things about e-learning is that you can study when it suits you. It also means you can go at your own pace, so you don't have to try to keep up with other people. But of course, e-learning isn't always about learning on your own. You can also use it as part of your group or classroom learning. Learning about your new country is an important part of integrating into a new culture. So Liana thought it would be a good idea for Friha and Salma to visit a local historical site. But before visiting it for real, they're using the internet for a bit of research.
We have already learned little about Irish history. And you know there is a place, Strokestown, not far from Balhadreen. I think we should go there. But before going there, let's search some information.
Welcome to Strokestown Park.
Well, I'd like to welcome you again to Strokestown Park House, and my name is Eileen, as you might remember, and I'd like to give you a brief history of the house today. So this house that we're standing in was built by a Thomas Mahan in 1740, and the Mahans lived in it for 100 years, but during the famine times, the 1840s, the Mahans got into financial difficulties, and Dennis Mahan was the landlord, and Dennis decided to avoid bankruptcy, he'd marry off his only daughter to a good wealthy husband.
In Pakistan, normally after marriage, my husband lives with his family. I live with my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, brother-in-laws and sister-in-law. In a family you can get help, all the persons share in that, or they are living together. There are different problems with the children, like sometimes a bit cold, sometimes they are feeling hot. Here you have to go to the GP, but there you have you have the older women. You can ask them about the problem. They can solve. They can tell you the home remedies you can do at home.
A visit to Strokestown Park House not only gives an insight into how past generations lived, it also provides an opportunity to find out about education in the old days.
So this is the schoolroom. Copybook dates from 1934. Nicholas's copybook from 1934. Disgraceful, 2 out of 10. And we have the desks. It's quite interesting when you look at the desk here. It's designed with the seat veering off centre. The whole design of it, the seat is coming out to the left. And the whole purpose of that is, when you're seated in that position, you couldn't write with your left hand. They were totally opposed to left-handed people. They wouldn't be going out to the schools with the village children. They would be taught privately here. The tutor will be brought into them.
How can I know about the history? Sometimes I heard the news. I think news is a very best source.
I like to read stories, but I find difficult to read the stories in which there are very tough English. I start from the children's storybook. Sometimes I watch English news, English movies. We can do the puzzles and crosswords. The main problem is vocabulary.
One way of improving your writing and spelling is by doing word puzzles. So this week's writing tip is about crosswords. So how do they work? Well, a crossword is a grid with black and white spaces. The idea is that you write words in the white spaces either across or down the crossword. Each white space can only take one letter, and each word is numbered. These numbers match with clues given, normally beside the crossword. For example, the clue to one across is you use this to type when using a computer. The number at the end of the clue shows you that there are 8 letters in the answer. In this case, the answer is keyboard. Now that you have the answer to one across, you can see that the first letter of 2 down is an E, and the beginning of 3 down is a B. Let's read the clue for 3 down. It has pages and you can read it. The answer is book. Finally, let's have a look at the clue for 6 across. The clue is you use it when writing. It has 3 letters, and when we look at the space where it goes, we can see that the last letter is K. So the answer must be ink. As you do more crosswords, they should become a bit easier. They're a great way to learn new words, exercise your brain, and practice your spelling.
I want to improve English, to be fluent in English, that I can explain what I want. And I want the office job. For Malaika, I want she get higher education.
I like to improve my English, then I have got a job. Any kind of job like child minding.
I think that it is very necessary you got higher education for your children. If you are not going to do any job, but you are going for your children, you can teach your children. If you can teach your children, then they will listen you. Respect you in this manner. You can teach them. But if they find that you cannot teach them, they say it's okay. You say you do your work, they say okay, we did. Don't bother.
In this week's spelling tip, we reminded you about adding ing and ly to words. And we explained that 3 important tips when spelling were to sound out the words, break them up, and most importantly, get practicing. The writing tip was about doing crosswords. We saw that they can be useful for building up your words as well as helping with spelling. Our Read It was on Using the Literacy Tools website, where you'll find lots of useful exercises on spelling, reading and writing. Lastly, the final Get It of this series was about e-learning, using computers to help you with your studies, either through CD-ROMs or on the internet. Once you get used to using computers, you should be able to use them in a number of ways to learn.
Well, that's just about it for this series of Read Right Now. I've certainly enjoyed travelling around the country and meeting our learners, and I hope you have too. I hope you found their stories inspiring. Remember, they took that step to go back to education, and you can too. All you got to do is read right now. Goodbye. Now, if you're inspired by anything you saw on today's programme and you feel like you want to try out the internet, why don't you try it out? Go onto our webpage, it's the Read Right Now webpage. It's www.readrightnow.ie. For more information on courses and schemes available in your area, just phone or call into your local VEC centre.